Kia ora, good afternoon, Jamie. How are you?
What up, Brooke? I'm good. I'm very good. Very busy at the moment. I've just been ripping walls out of my bathroom, which is super fun.
Whereabouts are you at the moment?
Currently based in Papamoa, which is just stunning. So we're feeling very lucky to be back home and living down here at the moment.
Yeah, yeah. So you're trading a microphone for a hammer and doing a bit of handyman stuff.
Yes, absolutely. In this day and age, you've got to be kind of adaptable as a musician, and this is what it's
Yes.
come to for me. Yeah.
So Jamie McDell construction up and coming.
Totally. If anyone needs any pretty average work, hit me up.
Was there something you wanted to do before being a musician? Was there a fallback or something?
Not really. I did do a degree in graphic design. I've always, had other creative outlets, you might say. And
Mm.
somehow I've kind of always managed to be able to work them both. They kind of correspond with each other. But no, not really. I mean, I had a period of thinking I might be able to go and do my dive instructors or something and,
You should
travel
totally
the
come
world.
to Whitianga and do your dive instructing. Dive Zone Whitianga would absolutely great place.
Yeah, it still may happen. Like, I guess not being able to travel as much has kind of given me a heap of free time. So, yeah, anything could happen, Brooke.
Yeah. So we at CFM we like to call the music that we play like anthem music. It doesn't really fall under anything, but it's just songs that like people you know the words to and click straight away. So if I was to say names
Awesome.
like John Denver, Jimmy Buffett, and James Taylor, how does that kind of resonate with you?
Um, as in what anthems would I think of?
Or yeah, or if they've kind of country impacted you in a way.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, those artists are completely what have been the background to my childhood. My parents love those guys and literally only had a couple of those tapes when we were living aboard a boat overseas. So my sister and I were just completely, yeah, that sound was drilled into us, you could say.
And being you were signed when you were 16, which is very young to be signed. If you could, like, we have a lot of up and coming artists around here, but if you could maybe say a couple words to 16-year-old Jamie or young artists, knowing what you know now, what would you kind of say?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would really just say it's so important to know who you are and what you want to be and achieve as an artist. There are many different paths you can take in this industry that you might achieve different levels of success, but it's just important to know what you actually want out of a music career and if it's more to do with writing music, if it's about playing stadium shows or having kind of a lengthy career with a small loyal fan base. They're all possible, and there's different steps you can take to get there. So just as long as everyone's on the same page with what you want, that's usually a good place to start.
And where do you feel like you are with that journey? Are you still finding yourself, or you think that you've got it?
I feel really, I suppose the word would be relieved in this stage of life, and that I really feel like I've just released an album that's so honestly me. It's a sound that I've really been trying to achieve for quite a long time now. And so, yeah, I think for me, I'm kind of sitting in that wonderful space of being really proud of every single thing I'm doing and kind of understanding what the purpose of it all is.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about your latest release of an album, self titled, very shortly. But there are some other pictures where in 2017 you showed up, you were in Nashville, Toronto, kind of. How was that?
Yeah. I know it's kind of a confusing journey to follow, but long story short, we moved to North America, based ourselves in Canada, so Toronto or Vancouver, and just made it so that, yeah, accessing Nashville was a little bit easier for me without living in the States. And it was amazing. Nashville is, I mean, I'm sure people know of it as Music City. There's clearly a lot of music lovers, musicians, writers, session players there. And there's something to be said about being amongst a very large community of people that are all going for the same dream. And I think it's surprising that it doesn't feel competitive. It just feels more like you're amongst peers and people that kind of get what you're trying to do and are extremely supportive.
Yeah, because coming from New Zealand, kind of the kickback Kiwi nature of things, you didn't find it intense over there, or how did you navigate that?
I probably didn't find it intense. I felt in awe of the whole city. I think just in that it was really actually quite easy to work with musicians and writers that I had looked up to for a long time, and I suppose that just shows there's quite a bit of humility there, and that no matter how famous you are or what tours you've played on or whatever it might be, you're kind of willing to get involved in a record like my own, which would have been pretty random considering I'm such an outsider. But no, definitely not intense. I probably felt more at home in my career choice there than anywhere.
And do we get to, in your latest album, would you, like, previous ones are probably quite Kiwi based, like you feel that New Zealand beachy vibes. In the latest album, is that kind of a bit of Nashville in it?
Yeah, I think I obviously grew up around the ocean, and that's such a huge part of who I am, and also my family story. So of course I think those themes always tend to find their way into my records. But I would just say it, in being, I guess, overseas, I was able to get in touch with a more kind of maybe deeper side of my songwriting, and really figure out what it was I wanted to say, maybe a bit more that didn't, get distracted too much by surfing and things like that.
Yeah. So Jamie McDell, the album came out late February. With the tracks on it, what kind of is different from maybe when we have heard you in the past, do you think?
Yeah, I think I would say I've always based my songwriting around kind of myself, my story and the guitar, but I think here I've just tapped into some more personal stories,
Yeah.
and focused a little more on my lyric writing, and that I've just kind of said what I mean to say. Of course, another kind of really clear thing on this record, I think, is the rich sound you get from the Nashville players, and that I've just leaned right into some of the more kind of traditional elements of country music.
So you did a lot of recording and stuff in studios over there, or?
Yeah, the entire album was recorded in Nashville, with session musicians from that area. So yeah, it very much embodies a lot of that sound. However, I do think it's been helpful coming in and out of Nashville, not being based there, and kind of having new perspectives to share. I think also myself and my producer really don't chase a perfect sound. So there's the authenticity, I suppose, in my vocal performance, and the production reflects the honesty in the songs.
I quite into poetry myself, and some of the lyrics you can actually hear them spoken, and they do sound like poetry verses sometimes. So when you talk about lyrics, there's some great lyrics and stuff in there. And you mentioned about living on a boat before, and there's parts about it where your sister and family on a boat. So it feels like a real personal piece of work that you've put together.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that, because I think I've always felt a little bit sensitive about my lyrics, and I know with this record I was just really proud of some of the things that kind of came out of my mouth.
You're like, well done, Jamie.
I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Write that down.
But yeah, no, it's there's a lot of my family has influenced this record a lot, and again I think also just possibly being on a journey myself into my late 20s, and understanding a little bit more about who I am and who I am as a woman especially. So yeah,
that's great, and we're so happy that we get to listen along with it, because that's something I'm learning to do as well. So like, connecting with someone through music. is great. And you're going to be in Whangamata for the Wild Women's Weekend on May the 14th at the Whangamata Club there, which we're super, super stoked to hear. Are we going to hear some of the new album there as well as the old good stuff?
Yes, I'm so excited. I feel like I haven't been able to play live in such a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, I definitely will mix up the set with some old and some new for sure, and usually very happy to take requests. So if
Yeah.
anyone has anything they'd like to hear, I'm always open to playing anything.
Cool. And we are going to play for the first time on our station, not the last, Poor Boy, one of your tracks off the album. Can you dive more into that track and kind of introduce it to us for a first-time listener? What is Poor Boy Jamie McDell about?
Sure, yeah. So Poor Boy was inspired by my dad and his kind of humble beginnings, then to work really hard to be a successful lawyer, and then his decision to part ways with that career and move my family onto a boat to kind of pursue, I suppose, the adventure and a passion he'd had for a long time. And then further to that, it just sort of goes into how that affected our lives since then. So the main sentiment is that those experiences are really meaningful, more so than some of the material things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Our power's just come back on, so I feel like that's a sign, like as you were talking about Poor Boy, everything just lit up. So really exciting. We can't wait to see you in Whangamata in May, Jamie, and thank you for spending some time with me. Back to the bathroom. Best of luck.
Thank you so much, Brooke.
See ya.
See you. Thank you.